This is an exclusive interview. Joining us live in the studio is Senior Counsel Martha Karua, the Narc Kenya chairperson. Good to see you, Senior Counsel.
Nice to be here.
And congratulations on the book.
Yes. Asante.
Look, there's so much to cover, so much ground to cover. I don't know where we're going to begin, but you describe yourself as an unconventional daughter growing up. What does that mean?
Well, I just mean unconventional is the unusual, in the sense that there's a way people expect girls, even little girls, to be. I was the unexpected, because I'll be inquisitive, I'll question, I'll do the things that I'm not expected to do. I was an all-rounder, yeah.
So in your preface, you write, I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs. I'm not going to give away too much. You say one of the most interesting descriptions I have come across was being, apart from Iron Lady, was being described as, quote, the only man in President Mwai Kibaki's government. This was in reference to the role I played as President Kibaki's stalling agent in the disputed 2007 presidential election. I saw this as an expression of a worldview informed by the entrenched patriarchy, which attributes certain traits and characteristics to each gender. Is it your hope that this book will give people a better understanding of who you are as a person?
Certainly, because it does take you on a journey to see the different sides of me. When for public figures, you just rely on the media will only show you the aspects that come to public life. Disagreements over issues, hard tackles if it's in parliament or in the political arena. It will not show you the social things one does. It will not show you how Martha is when she's celebrating in a wedding. It will not show you many, many things. So yes, the book will help you understand me better. Speaking of which, how did your childhood prepare you for what you were going to be growing up? How did it prepare you? I think it prepared me a lot, because when you grow up as I did in the rural areas, hard work is a must. So you grow up with work ethics. Most children brought up in the rural areas grow up with a good work ethic. I do not know how to sit idle when there is work around me. I do not know how not to give 102%, not under. So that prepared me. I didn't like it very, very much that every holiday we are juggling between one farm activity with the other, because tea, there will always be tea to pluck. Coffee, the December holidays. Planting, April. August. Every time there was something to do. But we still played, because children play, adolescents play. You still find time in between. And that did prepare me to multitask. Yeah.
Who do you say were your greatest influences in your formative years?
I think my parents and my paternal grandmother. We lived with them as was usual those days, and is still usual in the rural area. So I grew up with my grandmother up until her passing, when I was already working. Yeah, and she was a very good friend and one of my role models. Yeah.
Did you always want to be a lawyer?
Up to about the age of 9, I wished to be a lawyer. I accompanied my dad once to the court. I think he had a traffic offense. And I don't know what impressed me about the way everybody treated the magistrate with deference. And you know, upcountry magistrates are called jaji, you know. So as we left the court, I told my dad I want to be a judge. Jaji? Yeah. Jaji in Kikuyu. I want to be a judge. And he told me, I have no problem, my daughter, but you have to work very hard in school. And I had that, and I did. Yeah.
Actually, you know, if you look at the book, at the back pages, there are images, and there are some images of you in school, and I'll call them your girlfriends, images with other young ladies in school. Was there a form of peer-to-peer learning at that point as well?
I think you learn through interaction and instructions. So all the people you interact with, your life becomes a mosaic of all those experiences. And I'm so blessed. Today, I was with some of the people I went to school with, high school, university, friends from the workplace, my teachers from high school, and Dr. Willie Mutunga, my teacher in the university, at least one of my teachers. Yeah. So
Nairobi school, yeah?
Nairobi Girls.
Nairobi Girls.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you became the youngest magistrate at 24 years of age, I believe?
I do not think I was the youngest, because we left in our class, we were employed, several of us. But yes, among the youngest. Yes.
What was that like to become judge at 24 years of age?
It was okay, because we had been to school, we had learned, but read that book and you see how terrified I was on day one.
I can imagine. I can imagine the butterflies and everything, right?
And completely my wits leaving me, but you'll see how it went on.
I look forward to reading that.
Okay, but day two, you said, you know what? I'm going to do this.
No, everything came back together, but day one was terrifying. And it's good for other young professionals to know that when you see people talking with confidence, we all began somewhere. And we all had people to hold our hands as we grew. And it's our duty now to hold others to grow.
Okay, so we fast forward. Politics.
How did she get into it?
Yes. How did you get into it?
I think from activism within the Law Society, spilling over to national politics, and when multi-party returned to running for office. One thing led to another. But I'll tell you this, those who say that what you profess with your mouth will come to be, when I was in Form 4, I remember telling a girl named Damaris, whom I lost touch completely. She was from Kandara in Murang'a, and she was in school in Kirinyaga with me. And I told her, Damaris, you'll be member for Kandara, and I'll be member for Kirinyaga East. That's what Geshogo was called. It was in jest. I used to listen to Bunge, Leo Katika Bunge, and I used to love it. So there was something that was calling me in it. But when I said those words, it was in jest. And yes, behold, it came to be.
It happened.
Yeah.
So you represented, so you started from activism, then from activism into politics.
Activism to leadership in the Law Society, and in women's organizations, and to politics. And even when I was in politics, I was still in leadership in women's organizations.
And famously, you represented Paul Mwite.
Yes.
When they had been after Sabasaba, because I was not arrested, I didn't go to Kamukunji, so we were running around, organizing their defense.
And it took him 4 days to appear in court. I mean, it doesn't, because you have to appear 24 hours after, right? Now.
Do you get a sense of deja vu, actually, given the times we are living in?
I think we've gone round full circle. I'm sort of feeling like we are living in the dark era, only this era seems to be total eclipse. If we refer to the Kanu era as dark era, it was partial darkness. This is the total eclipse.
It's complete darkness.
It's complete darkness.
Why do you say that?
No, this is a terrible time. We have a constitution which is being disregarded. Rights are being violated right, left, and center. People being abducted by ununiformed officers or thugs, we don't know, who don't give you their names, and information coming through, reliable information, that is a special force outside of the police force, having both select police officers, mainly from Dr. Ruto's ethnic group, some from the army, and even foreigners, I would say foreign mercenaries, because when you come here to cause havoc in Kenya, I can't call you officer, it's a foreign mercenary. from the East Africa community.
Is there evidence of this?
Well, we got from reliable sources, just like we got from insider sources that the Wajir missing member of county assembly was at one stage in police custody. So they ought to tell us where they are. Not really police custody, but in illegal detention, because detention without trial is no longer legal in Kenya.
Right.
So it was in illegal detention where people, abducted people are.
You know, you talk about Moi's era being a partial eclipse, and there's that famous incident, everybody knows this incident, when you walked off of a Moi event. Yeah. Nobody ever did that. Nobody. And you walked off and you flung your...
The DP salute. I was a member of the Democratic Party. Yes. That was our salute.
Yes.
So just like telling Moi, I'm DP, you know? Because the law entitles me to be. Because unless if we show people that you can stand up for your rights, you can stand up even to the powerful, then people are going to walk all over us.
Were you scared walking away from that event to your car? You know,
I was so fed up to here. Nothing else in my mind except the fury I was feeling at that time. Because I had sat there, I had gone to welcome Moi as the head of state and as a member of parliament, opposition though, but you recognize him as the president of the country. So I was the only MP who had gone to meet him, because the rest, opposition used to boycott. I said, hell, I'll go. And I waited for him at Karua Girls, where his chopper landed. And he was very happy, pouring praise on me, to the girls and telling them I'm their role model. Then when we get to the stadium, his local chairman starts insulting the opposition, insulting my party leader then, Mwai Kibaki, who was to later become president, and saying that we would be crazy to ever dream that Kenya can be governed from Udhaya. You know, Kibaki is home. So I asked Moi, hey, what's the matter? Why do you let, he was seated 2 seats away from me. I asked him, why are you letting your chairman insult us and pour scorn on the opposition when I've dutifully come to meet you? So I told him, you either stop him, I was demanding, or you give me 5 minutes to defend my party. So he goes like, what are you going to say if I give you time? I told him, I can't tell you what I'm going to say. I can only assure you that I'll give you due respect as head of state. I think he decided this one is not good. I saw his body language. He told me to taona, but I knew he wouldn't. So I just surveyed how the lay of the ground was. And I saw there was one entrance, just exit or entrance, just next to his podium. And I quickly calculated I can't walk behind him to look like I'm attacking him. Then I noticed another exit, a meter from his podium. So I knew how I would leave, and I would not leave when any other person is talking. I will leave when he rises to speak. So I gave him a minute to get to his podium, and I took my bags, went in front of him, DP salute, and I swaggered off.
Swaggered off.
In the moment, did you know how iconic that moment in time would become?
No, not at all, because you see, it is very disturbing for people to try and humiliate you. And for me, that moment becomes very intense until I find out how to even out. So I had worked it out how I'm going to walk out on him. And I was leaving for that moment. Nothing else mattered.
By the way, it's on TV right now. There's a picture. That cunning show you're talking about right there. Right there.
Very nice. And speaking of pictures,
yes.
Several pictures of you actually in the book.
Yeah.
You know, making the salute, the DP salute.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of them is making the DP salute with the kids just before, yes, at home, just before the 1992 elections. At this time,
that's up-country, yeah.
You are a single mother.
Yeah,
if I understand correctly.
Of two, yes.
Of two.
I've already pledged into life as a single mother. Yes.
And yet, you were venturing into politics.
Yes.
And politics, as you hear said time and time again, is not an even playing field, especially for women.
All those things were talked about, and you find it in the book how I dealt with it. And by the way, I campaigned as Martha Njoka. And because my marital status was an issue during elections, I decided to show my detractors a bit of style. So immediately we were elected, I did the papers for change of name. I did Paul, got it gazetted. I was sworn in 3 weeks into January as Martha Karua. And that was it.
Was it a rocky marriage?
No, if you're expecting juicy stories about that, no. Every marriage does become rocky because any disagreement can graduate to a big disagreement. It's up to you to know the good time to walk out.
And how did you juggle all of it with 2 young children and this prolific professional career? How did you manage it?
I think women are brought up to multitask. That's why you see a woman carrying firewood on the back, a child, a jerry can of water, and something else. You see her doing, carrying all that. Then at home, she will do so many things. What in Kikuyu we call maondo forte. You know?
Yes, yes.
All in one day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we are born multitaskers. Yeah.
So the 1992 election had, I think, Kenneth Matiba running for president.
Yeah.
Your party leader, Mwai Kibaki. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. Together, they garnered about 3 million votes.
And they could have won it had they united.
Yeah.
But
2 elections, opposition lost, 92 and 97, because of running too many presidential candidates. Moi was winning with just about 33%, while the opposition has close to 67.
Yeah.
But surprise, surprise, Moi would have enough members of parliament, meaning the constituency boundaries were gerrymandered, you know? Deliberate unfairness in way the constituencies are created. And that is why up to this day you hear people talking of 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, meaning balance our constituencies so that our votes are equal. Share the money equally so that needs of everybody, basic needs of everybody are met. So having too many candidates in the opposition cost us 2 elections. But in the 2002 elections, the opposition was united and was able to usher in the first new government after independence.
But it could have been done earlier, right?
It could have been done in 92.
Correct.
So why wasn't it?
Everybody with their ambition. You see, even today we are many people. Nobody can stand today and tell us, I'll be the united opposition candidate. That's a pipe dream. Grow your brand, I grow mine, the next person will grow theirs. Then further down the line and closer to the time, people can come together and discuss. Because competition in politics and in leadership is very important. For Kenya to get the best, people must compete, whether for MCA, for all the seats from MCA to presidency. Nothing should be on a platter. And even if people are to unite, they should unite from a position of knowledge and a position of strength, knowing that there is a scientific or agreed way in which they identify the stronger candidate.
Yeah. How significant was the 2002 election and Mwai Kibaki coming in? How significant was that?
It was very significant for this country. It was a turning point economically, democracy-wise, even for the rule of law and for human rights. Although later on there was a reversal in the runner-up to the 2007 elections, because already there were cries of violation of rights by the human rights organizations and the way the Kibaki government at that time dealt with Mungiki, and then the post-election violence. But to begin with, Kenyans were noted as the most hopeful people in the world because there was hope for change. Members of the public were stopping police from taking bribes. Members of public, I remember with nostalgia, them populating KICC, not in a destructive way, but it is a mob, not unruly, an orderly mob that recovered KICC from Kanu and returned it to the Republic. And today it's a public asset.
So I'm curious, how do we get from 2000 to where we have the optimism you're talking about, you know, a new beginning, a fresh start after Moi, and get to 2007, which is arguably one of the darkest moments in Kenya's history? They say hindsight is 2020. When you're writing this book, when you're reflecting on these moments, what, you know, where did we get it wrong in between?
I think human beings are given to err, and there are many missteps, you know. The fallout during the failed referendum, and that fallout deepened with the sacking of the ministers who opposed the Wako draft. It then deepens even further when the Orange Democratic Movement goes out and coins a campaign slogan of 41 against 1. I am not saying they're the only ones at fault, because there are things that we in government could have done to lessen the tension and were not able to do. And then one thing leads to the other. But I think we should learn from it. Even if, however annoyed you are with a political colleague or a political formation, don't take steps that would plunge the country to bloodshed, to civil war, to destruction. Because this is our country. We destroy, we will have to build. And it's easier to destroy than to build. And in 2007, what we lost is not just the people who died. We lost the trust we had started to build of each other. We lost the cohesion that we had started to build. And you can see up to this day, we are still faltering in that path. We lost the chance to push back corruption. Those disagreements cost us the fight against corruption. You can see those are the things we are grappling with.
Still to this day.
And the aftermath is this impunity you see. Because that impunity started then, and especially when people were not held to account for murder, plunder, and displacement of people in 2007. Moving forward, even after the 2010 Constitution came, we did not set up a local tribunal as Parliament. People go to The Hague, the Ocampo 6. And the cases are terminated for lack of evidence. Witnesses, before then, witnesses have been hounded, killed, some have moved, some have been compromised. Impunity is deepening. There was impunity even the Moi era. Land grabbing, corruption and all. But you can see a thread where impunity keeps on getting reloaded. And we are now at the highest pinnacle of impunity. As Kenyans, we need to take our country back.
Tell me something. Judge Kriegler in 2008 said he doesn't know who won the election. He wasn't sure who won the election. Who won the 2007 election? You were there. Who won it?
Kibaki. What Kriegler said is that both sides were guilty of inflating the votes, so it wouldn't make sense to even try to find out who won. Meaning that the electoral rules had been violated in such a big way that really you may not be able to get to the bottom of the matter. But if you're asking from the votes Kevoito announced, I'll tell you straight, Kibaki won. And I'll tell you also that there was a group, and Kriegler is public, anybody can read. He had a very small margin. There's another group from the US, a Professor Troop. They also tried to remove what they saw as excessive votes from either side, like if any polling station had above 80. Using that method to audit the election, they still found Kibaki had won by a small margin. So that's me. But the verdict of Kriegler, the violations were so great on both sides, it was difficult to declare who won. So who is fooling who when we keep on hearing the narrative of stolen elections?
Because Kiwitu, as I understand it, but you lived it, so you know better, eventually said even he wasn't sure.
I think he said that at some stage before the announcement, but later on after tallying, and remember we stayed at KICC overnight to tally, after everything was tallied, he did announce a winner, and that winner was Mwai Kibaki. Yeah.
And when the National Coalition Government was formed in 2008, right?
Do you mind if I just do a quick follow-up?
Yeah,
before we get to the coalition government. Given how things played out, was it a difficult time in our history to go back and reflect on the role you played?
No, it's not difficult at all, because I did what by me was right, meaning that even tomorrow I'll do what is right. In any given situation, you have to do soul searching and you do what is right. So I have no regrets about the role I played as Kibaki's agent. Kibaki deserved an agent. That agent was me. And I had voted for him, so I was following my vote too. But obviously, we regret loss of life. Never mind who killed. Loss of life, property, displacement, all those are regrettable. And we regret also our failure as leaders, which could have led the country to the abyss.
And do you still stand by the manner in which the swearing-in was conducted thereafter?
How else, my dear, could the swearing-in have been conducted? Kibaki has been declared winner. Did anybody really expect that I, as a Kibaki supporter, or the Kibaki supporters would question his win? Those who questioned his win were entitled to go to court. We questioned Ruto's win, and I still believe up to this day he didn't win. We went to court. That's what people do. You don't remove daggers and start displacing people and matchboxes and start touching people. There has to be a referee who declares, even in football. A referee declares, then you can dispute. Kibaki was sworn in. The manner of swearing in was swear him immediately. And I challenge anybody to look at the Ippg amendments and to see that the president was to be sworn in immediately. He is declared. And on that particular time, Kibaki's tenure was ending on that day. It was important he be sworn in, and he was.
So you say they had the option to go to court, but the judiciary at the time, given the reforms that followed thereafter, there were various reforms that were carried out. How trustworthy, what confidence did the public have in that institution?
What confidence do Kenyans today have in sections of the judiciary? We still don't kill each other when we dispute our boundaries. You still go to court. I always liken the court to a leaking roof. If your house is leaking, I'm yet to see a person who gets out their bed to sleep in the rain. You push your bed to a corner and you repair the roof afterwards. So even though the judiciary, even today, is not where Kenyans want it to be, you keep going. Sometimes you get good judgments. I call them sparks of encouragement. You get them in the magistrate's court, you get them in the high court, you get them in the court of appeal. After that, I don't see, but that is what it is.
You know, we could talk about this book all evening long. It's so fascinating, so many excerpts. And you know, if we can fast forward just a little bit, let's 2022.
Yeah.
Azimio.
Yeah.
And you become the running mate of Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
Who was a nemesis of yours before. In politics, there's no such thing as enemies, right? It's just interests. Because Uhuru Kenyatta also, when he was appointed Deputy Prime Minister, you weren't very happy with that during the coalition government.
I don't think that one disturbed me to an extent of us having any animosity. After all, Uhuru wasn't the one who appointed himself. It's Kibaki who did. We worked together thereafter as colleagues in the coalition government, Grand Coalition government, for a full year, passing on very heavy legislation, very heavy agendas in Parliament, with total success rate except one bill, the bill for the local tribunal. Yeah, so I had no problem because appointed positions, you don't sulk too much because you can then ask people for the position you want, and I've been at it.
And then you become Raila's running mate.
Yeah, Raila, we have worked with him for a long time and quite well. Even in the coalition government after that fight, that 1 year, we worked well, just like with everybody else. And it was so surprising that in cabinet, remember these are people we had been in the Narc coalition together. We worked well. And in cabinet, you could see people splitting along interests, not along the party lines. Like when there was the maize scandal, I remember there was William Ntimama, myself, and some assistant ministers on one side. And the rest of the people, some silent and others silently supporting the culprits in the maize scandal. So people actually align on interests. But people also align on ideology. So when I chose to deputize Raila, it's because I knew he's a person I could work with. And he's a person you can sit on the table, disagree, and then agree. Yeah.
In the end, were you disappointed? Because, you know, he's back in the government.
If you mean whether I'm disappointed now,
yes.
Yes. But he has a right to do what he wishes, and then I have a right to make a decision. And now Kenya and myself made a decision to exit Azimio. So you let him do his thing, and you do what you think is right.
But do you feel bitter about it? I mean...
No, not at all. No. You must let him do what he must.
It's nothing personal.
And then I'll do what I must. And it didn't take me long, and it didn't take Kenya long to say that we cannot be with you where you are now.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking, I'll take you a little bit back, and then you can bring us back. We are doing a time machine here. But one of the most momentous times in history is when you resigned as Minister for Justice, citing frustrations.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we've had people say, I would rather die than leave office. What motivated that, led you to take that step? It's not every day we see it.
Leadership and positions are not matters of life and death. It's a service you are offering to the people. When you're in cabinet, you have been called by the president of the day, or to be a member of government. If I feel the government is no longer carrying out the policies we agreed, then I cannot stay there at whatever cost. I must only remain in that formation at a cost acceptable to me. So if I feel that my conscience cannot take what is going on, then it's time to walk away. And I did. It just means you lose influence, you lose money, and all that comes with that. But then you gain your conscience and your comfort. And that's what I did. I was happy in the backbench. And those who remember seeing me in the backbench, very active.
Is that included in the book, your experience serving in those various parliaments, especially when you consider what has been said? But not the 2022
elections. I said 2022, I'll write a different book.
Oh, my goodness. There's a whole other book for that.
Yeah.
Tell me something. What's next for Martha Karua?
What's next for Kenya? That is the question I would like to ask. What's next for us when there is eclipse and we no longer can see light? We must fight for our country. We must fight to restore light, to restore democracy, rule of law, human rights. We cannot live with abductions every day. We cannot live with violations of human rights We cannot live with the abuse of our hand taxes. And more so, we cannot accept to be slaves, that the government takes everything that is in your pocket and leaves your children starving. So Martha Karua, like every other Kenyan, I'm here to work hard to drive Ruto and his rogue regime out.
So you say the story continues?
It continues.
No doubt about it. The book is called Against the Tide, folks. Senior counsel Martha Karua has written her memoirs.
Oh yes, where can we get the book?
Just about everywhere, right? Textbook Center, Prestige Bookshop, everywhere, right?
So let's answer the question.
Everywhere.
Jeff, let's answer the question.
I know where these kinds of books.
Where can we get the book?
The book is going to be in the bookshops that we will, from tomorrow, we will announce where.
Yeah.
But right now, you can go to my website.
Oh.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And is there an e-book?
Yes, not an e-book is coming, but not yet. Those who pre-order, books will be delivered. But I'm very sure that this week, beginning tomorrow, there will be many outlets having the book, and that will be announced.
Absolutely.
As they get the books, it will be announced.
So what a privilege that we have our own copies.
I know, can you imagine?
Do you mind signing
for us? Yeah, absolutely. We have to.
I have a broke-looking pen. Do you mind if I borrow yours?
Thank you so much, folks. Pick up the book, folks. Against the Tide. Senior counsel Martha Karua talks about her life and times. And yes, there's another book coming on the 2022 election. Stay tuned for that. Wow, I tell you. Can't make this stuff up. We're going to take a break, come back. There's plenty more news. Should we do more news or should we go home?
Let's do some more.
We're finished. All right, we'll do some more. Coming up.